Hello viewers, welcome to this video. In this video, let's see how to use an external load balancer like HAProxy to load balance your Kube API server. Alright, so we saw a few videos around Kubespray, how to provision your cluster, how to add or remove nodes, how to reset your cluster, and how to upgrade your cluster using Kubespray's Ansible playbook. And we used these nodes for our understanding, and again, for this video, I'm going to be using the same setup. So my server has got 16 CPU and 32 gig of RAM, and I've got 4 virtual machines. If I show you VBox manage, so I've got 4 virtual machines, and I've also got an LXC container. So this is my Ansible node from where I run all my Ansible playbooks to set up all the nodes. So that's an LXC container. It can be a virtual machine or any machine. So this is the setup from my previous video. Again, for this video, I'm going to be using the same setup. If I go back to my nodes here, and in the original video, when we ran the Kubespray's Ansible playbook, so we got this cluster like multi-master, and all the worker nodes have the internal load balancer. So they know how to load balance between the multiple master nodes to access the API server. And I also mentioned that in my future video, I'll be doing this one, how to configure a HAProxy, so we don't have to worry about configuring an internal load balancer. So in this video, we'll be configuring a HAProxy as the load balancer. So all the traffic to the API server component from the worker nodes as well as from the end user will go through this HAProxy. So that's what we're going to see in this video. Okay, so for this video, I'm not going to set up a separate machine for HAProxy because this Ansible LXC container is just sitting idle. I'm just running playbooks to set up the Kubernetes cluster on all these nodes. So I'm going to use this Ansible LXC container. I'm going to install HAProxy on that machine. If you want, you can install HAProxy on any of these machines, even in one of these nodes, but it's better to deploy that in a separate machine. All right. Okay, so let me close that one and let's start installing it. LXC list. I'm going to log into my Ansible machine, VBox manage list VM. So we have 4 virtual machines, and most of the steps, almost 90% of the steps that I'm going to do in this video will be very similar to my earlier video. There'll be only 2 differences. One is that I'll be configuring the HAProxy, and the second one is I will be doing some updates to the one of the configuration files. So those are the only 2 changes that I'll be doing in this video. Otherwise, everything is going to be every command is going to be very similar to what you saw in my previous videos. Alright, so LXC exec, let's log into our Ansible machine, and we got to install HAProxy. So apt get update and apt get install -y HAProxy. Alright, HAProxy is installed, so let's edit its configuration. vi etc HAProxy HAProxy.cfg. Okay, go to all the way to the bottom, and I'm going to add some configuration. For that, I'm going to look at the documentation. Let's look at the documentation for HAPmode, Kubespray HAPmode. So it will have a sample HAProxy configuration that we can use. If I scroll down, yeah, that's the one I was looking for. And if I copy that and paste it here, yeah, so that's one we want. And bind IP, so that's the IP address of our HAProxy server itself. LXC list. So I'm running HAProxy on this Ansible machine, so the IP address is this one here. Copy and paste it here, and we are listening on the HAProxy on this machine is listening on port 8383. So that's where we will be connecting to access our Kubernetes API servers. Alright, so server master 1 and master 2, the master 1's IP address and master 2's IP address. So node 1 and node 2 will be master in my cluster. So the IP address is 172.42.42.101 and 172.42.42.102. That's it. Save it and do a systemctl restart HAProxy. Next start. So there you go. So A383 port A383 is there. So that's where we are going to connect in order to go to the backend Kube API servers. All right, so that's done. So now let's we have to set up the SSH keys. So let's generate the SSH key first. So we should be able to log in from this Ansible machine to all these nodes as root user without having to type the password. So let's generate the SSH key. SSH keygen, go with the defaults, and then copy the SSH key to all these 4 machines. SSH copy ID root at 172.42.42.101. So that's the first machine. Yes. Password. That's done. Let's do for the second machine. Let's do for the third node. And let's do for the fourth node as well. Alright, we've copied our SSH key to all the nodes. So now we should be able to log into all these nodes as root user without typing the password. Let's do a quick check. SSH root at 172.42.42.101. Yep, we can log in without typing our password. Alright, so that's done. So now let's go ahead and configure our git clone the Kubespray repository. Kubespray. I'll put a link to this repository in the description. Clone that. Copy. Git clone. Alright, so Kubespray, cd to Kubespray, and let's follow the documentation. And everything is going to be the same as I shown in my previous video. So first we need to do a pip install. For that you need to make sure you've got Python 3 and Python pip installed. Let's check which, too many typos today, which Python 3, I've got Python 3, which pip 3, I don't have it, so let's install that. App get install -y Python 3 pip. Right, pip is installed. So now let's copy, I'm sorry, I need to install the Python module, so that one. Pip install -r requirements.txt. Sorry, pip3 install -r requirements.txt. Cool, and now let's copy the sample configuration. Copy and paste it. Cool, that's done. So now we are going to generate the inventory file. For that we need the IP address of all our nodes. Declare -a IPS equals 172.42.42.101. That's my first node. 172.42.42.102, 172.42.42.103, and 172.42.42.104. So those are my IPs. And running this command will generate the inventory file. Cool. vi my cluster, sorry, vi inventory my cluster hosts.yaml. So that's my Ansible inventory file. It's all looking good. So node 1 and node 2 are the master. All of them are worker nodes. Node 1, 2, and 3 are the etcd nodes. Alright, cool. So now we should be good to go. We don't need that browser anymore. And the final step is we have done our HAProxy configuration, which is this one here. And now we need to update one of the configuration file to specify that we are using an external load balancer instead of the internal load balancer. So edit this file, vi inventory my cluster group vars all.yaml. Okay, so in here the external load balancer configuration. So I'm going to uncomment this section here, these 4 lines. Yep. So API server load balancer domain name, let's call it load balancer lb-cube.example.com. You can give any name, any domain name you want. The address of our external load balancer is this one. Copy that and paste it, and the port is 8383. And now we are going to disable the internal load balancer. So here it says load balancer API server localhost is true, so that's by default. So I'm going to change that to false. You can leave that running. You can leave that in the enabled or true state, which means the worker nodes and the internal components will make use of the internal load balancer. And you can use the external load balancer for your external clients like end users trying to use kubectl and so on. But I would like to disable the internal load balancer and use just one load balancer, external load balancer, for all the traffic. So lb-cube.example.com. So while I'm here, I'm also going to add this domain name to my host machine. Sudo vi etc hosts. Let me copy that IP address of my load balancer, which is HAProxy. Paste that and then say lb-cube.example.com. Cool. And I think that's all we need. All right, save that file, and then now we are good to run our Ansible playbook. Ansible playbook -i inventory my cluster hosts.yaml. That's the inventory file. -- user root cluster.yaml. Cool. So that's it. It's going to take like 20 minutes, and once that's done, we will be downloading the kube config file from one of the master machine and see if we can access the cluster through the HAProxy load balancer. All right. So I'm going to pause the video and come back when the cluster has been provisioned. Cool. Ansible playbook run completed, and it took about 18 minutes. All right. So now let's copy the kube config file from one of our master server and see if we can access our Kubernetes cluster. Make directory .cube sap root at 172.42.42.101. So that's the IP address of my first master, node 1. And I'm copying etc kubernetes admin.conf to config under .cube directory. Okay. Yes, and the password. Cool. Okay, so kubectl version --short, server version 1.16.2, kubectl cluster info. Everything is working great. And let's also look at our kube config file, kubectl config view. And you can look at the current context. Now the server IP address, the server address is https lb-cube.example.com:8383. So our interaction to the API server to the cluster is via this load balancer, HAProxy load balancer. And we already added that to our etc host file. So that's the IP address of our load balancer, which is running on this Ansible LXC container, the HAProxy. And we've added that to our etc host file lb-cube.example.com, and our kube config file is referring to that load balancer. Cool. Let's close that and clear the screen. Cool. That's it for this video, and thanks for watching. If you liked it, please share it with your friends, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. For any questions or any feedback, please let me know in the comments, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye bye.